Guys, so this video is going to be just kind of like a practice video and it's a practice way of how you're going to be learning this semester. So this first lesson is a new way of thinking about something you should have already learned. So we are going to be combining integers today. So key information to remember when combining, which remember is the same as adding or subtracting. Integers. So we're going to kind of think of this in a different way. Instead of thinking about adding and subtracting separately, we're going to think we're always just combining. So you're going to look at your signs of your numbers. If the signs of your numbers are the same, then you're going to need to add the numbers. If the signs of your numbers are different, then you are going to need to subtract the numbers. That is definitely an R and does not look like it. So you want to circle each of the numbers with their signs. So if you don't see a sign, then it's going to be positive. If you see a subtraction sign, then it's considered to be negative. So let's look at these examples. When you're looking here, you're going to circle the number and what's in front of it. So the 7 has nothing in front of it, so we consider it to be positive. The 3 has a plus in front of it, so it's also positive. So those signs are the same, so we are going to add. So 7 plus 3 is 10. You'll keep the sign of whatever your numbers were. They're both positive, so the answer is positive. You can think about it as having $7 and gaining $3, which would then give you $10. When we look at number 2, we're going to employ the same process. The 7 has a negative in front of it, so we circle the negative. The 3 also has a negative. We're ignoring this one. So since the signs are the same, then we are going to add them together. So 7 plus 3 is 10. Since they were both negative to begin with, we're going to make the 10 negative. Looking at number 3, again, we circle our signs. We have a 7 with nothing in front of it, which makes it positive, and a 3 with a minus in front of it, which makes it negative. So since the 7 is positive and the 3 is negative, that means that our signs are different, and I'm going to abbreviate that to be different. Since they are different, we are going to subtract them. So I always do the bigger number first. So 7 minus 3 is 4. Then I think about which number has a bigger absolute value, or which of them is furthest from 0. Since 7 is bigger than 3, then the answer is positive. You can also think about it as having $7, spending 3, you're left with 4. Looking at the next question, if I circle the 7, there's a negative in front of it. So that 7 is negative. Circling the 3, it is positive. So my signs are different. So I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. And then I think, well, 7 is bigger, farther away from 0, so my answer will be negative 4. When we look at number 5, it's a little bit different. Now I have 7 minus negative 3. The key to this one is to look and see, we have two signs that are the same together. These signs are together, so we need to make them a positive because they are the same. That means that my 3 is now positive and my 7 is positive, which means that my signs are the same, which makes them positive, which means I'm going to add, which gives me 10. You could have done number 2 in a very similar way. So since you had negative 7 plus negative 3, then you're going to think, okay, well, these signs are different. So that means I subtract. And then I have a negative 7 and a negative 3, which gives me the same sign, so I add to get negative 10. Both of those can be thought of in the same way anytime you have two signs together. So just like in number 2, like I just redid number 2, number 6 will work the same way. These two are different, which means I'm going to subtract them. So then I see that my 7 is positive and my 3 is now negative, which makes them different. So 7 minus 3 is 4. 7's bigger, so it stays positive. You can also think about another one that we don't have on here that you might want to know is if you had negative 7 minus negative 3. So we have a negative 7. These are the same, so we make them a positive. So my 3 is positive, making these different. So I'm going to subtract. So 7 minus 3 is 4. 7 is bigger, so it becomes negative. Now I want you to take a few minutes, and complete these independent examples. And then come back and check your answers. All right, so go ahead and check your work. If you notice that these two problems are technically the same, they're both asking you to do the same thing. They're just written in a slightly different way. So using our method of changing signs, you would see that. This one's also like the one that I did right here. Now I want you to think about these two things. What are two things that you should remember when combining integers? And I'd like for you to answer these questions in the short answer question that pops up. So two things that I always like to think about and remember when I'm combining integers is I like to think about what are my signs and what should the sign of my answer be. There are lots of other things you should think about as well, but those are the two big ones. What are the signs of each number? So should I add or subtract? And then what should the sign of my answer be? Go ahead and make sure that you've submitted, that you've watched this video and completed the notes in Google Classroom, and be ready with any questions that you might have tomorrow when you come to class. We'll do a few more examples as well. Have a good afternoon.